Okay, here we go. Our first guest podcast. I said it was 50-50 chance it was Tiger Woods, and we've went one better and got Jack Cope on. So, episode 7, and yes, our good friend Jack is joining us today, and we're gonna go through your golf career and highs, lows. I'm sure meeting us was in the lows there as well, so we'll get into that. But firstly, before we hand over to Jack, we'll talk about last week's golf action. So as always, I'll pass over to Jordan for his initial thoughts because he's always the best one to comment on it.
Yeah, probably because I am the only one that actually watches it, to be fair. Um, but Aaron Rai won a playoff, beat Tommy Fleetwood. They're both 25 under par. Rory McIlroy shot his lowest ever score on a DP World Tour event. Can you believe that? Shot 62, I think. Shot
62, yeah,
66.
10 under.
And
Suppose it's never
Played the last.
it's never too late, is it?
No, thanks, Rob. And then what else happened? Marco Pens shot
wasn't
another
far behind.
final round, was top 10. Richard Mansell came fifth with like a 60 something in the final round. Pretty interesting to see who finished in the top 50. I think Matty Jordan shot 66 in the final round to make it into the top 50 by 0.18 points.
No.
Which is pretty impressive. So that's pretty nuts, isn't it? The boys are shooting 6, 7 under par to make it in by a tenth of a point. So that's pretty cool. And then on the BJ Tour, Ben Griffin shot 29 under par,
Yeah, I did see
win by
a,
two.
a recap somewhere that said it was in challenging conditions, which is I don't know if they were exaggerating or it was challenging conditions and they still shot 29 under par.
Nah, it looked pretty windy to be fair from what I've seen. But yeah, to shoot 29 under par is pretty. I mean, just cheers, really. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and to only win by two as well is kind of equally
Yeah,
29 under par to win by two. That's
yeah. I know it's
pretty
ridiculous.
insane.
But it's that full series, isn't it, at the moment on PJ Tour, where they're all playing to try and keep their cards, basically. So, but Ben Griffin joins Scotty Scheffler and Rory McIlroy to win 3 times on the tour this season. So
Yep.
that's pretty impressive from someone that did play golf 4 years ago.
Yeah. Was an accountant when the last Ryder Cup was played.
Yeah, that'll do. So,
Yeah,
He's quite likable. I think
he
it's
is
very cool
actually.
anyway.
He is very likable.
yeah,
As long as you don't give him creatine.
Yeah, true.
That's the secret
And
sauce.
Q School as well. Final stage of Q School. They just finished their fifth round today. Xander Lombard leads by a 7 after shooting 7 under on 29 under par after 5 rounds. They said, I think they were saying top 20 and ties get their tour card. And I think tied 17th is 15 under par at the moment, and tied 22nd is 14 under par. So for 5 rounds, that's pretty good, right?
Mhm.
It's
Level
pretty
of
good.
golf at the minute is just so strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are 4 previous DP World Tour winners in the current top 20 on and final stage. So that's just shows how
Yeah.
tough it is.
Just a quick side note on Ben Griffin there. How mad is it? He was 19 strokes gained putting this year so far, and he had a look, and there was no blade putters ahead of him in the
Mhm.
strokes gained rank. He was the best blade putter at tied 19th. So
Wow.
it's like, well, although he's 19th on the PGA Tour in putting, which is outrageously good putting, and he was still like, well, maybe if I go to a mallet, I might putt better.
Yeah.
And
And then
Yeah.
he went to the
Might as
Spider
well
this
not.
week and went on to win. Like,
Yeah.
how that is just
Well, that's what I'm
filthy,
hoping because I bought a
filthy.
mallet putter the other day, didn't I, Jordan? So we'll
Mhm.
Yeah. Ethan bought a spider putter.
basically
But
Well,
otherwise
that'll be it.
I was using a
Dude,
blade. So if I was playing the PGA Tour, I might have challenged Ben Griffin there with the putting stats clearly. So
Well, that was what they were saying that it was one of TaylorMade's best weekends ever across both tours, but they couldn't say anything because they were both free agents. With Ben Griffin going to a Spider and Aaron Rai with an M6 driver beaten, they couldn't really say anything about it. So
M6.
M6 he won with, yeah,
And the pink castle too.
Christ.
and a pink Castleton, yeah, and 2 gloves and iron head covers.
Nothing wrong with that.
maybe that's the key, Cope. So let's get started.
I don't know. Colin Edgar to be on tour, would he?
So Cope, to our viewers who don't know you, all the millions out there, tell us a bit about yourself and a golfing sense. More than that if you want, but yeah, quick. a quick 30,000 view fit
Uh,
of Jack Cope.
I'll stick to a golfing sense, probably for my own personal safety. But I'm gonna just say I obviously Jack lived near Bristol in the south of England. Met these four boys at university. I spent 2 years. All shared a passion and interest in golf. Some just sort of more sort of like the social side and leisure side, and others obviously sort of trying to pursue a career. Um, I'm currently a professional golfer. Uh, Play on the Clutch Pro Tour at the moment. I've had experience on the Challenge Tour and the DPO Tour, albeit in sort of quite small doses, but nonetheless, I've sort of had a taste. And obviously, my goal ultimately is to get to those levels as I think sort of Robson Jordans are. And I've got some pretty exciting results and performances behind me, and I'm looking basically to try and continue those long term into a career effectively.
Good stuff.
That's about it, really.
Can't forget the English amateur champion.
Oh, we'll be
Christ,
getting to all that. Don't you worry. I've
Jesus
created
Christ.
I've created the thumbnail for this week, and it's a masterpiece, I must say. For someone who doesn't have a creative bone in their body, it is pretty impressive. Um, I think a 12-year-old could do it on paint, if I'm being completely honest. But it's got that on there.
He came into the living room and he was like, "Oh, it looks good, doesn't it?" I was like, "Yes."
What is that?
Well done, Ethan. You're getting so much better at this.
Gold star for Ethan.
So, Cope, where did it all start? Have you always been a good golfer? When did you realize you were getting good when you were younger?
So I started playing golf when I was probably 6 or 7, maybe. My dad played golf after he finished work. And I played all sorts of sports like rugby, football, cricket, as most sort of active kids would probably do. And I said, look, Dad, funnily enough, after watching Tiger Woods win the Masters in 2005, I went, that looks pretty cool. Uh, and I went a few months later, I think I said, look, can I give that a go? And he went, all right, yeah, go on then. Got into it, had a few lessons, started at a place called Minchinhampton, which James has been to. Um, Pretty hallowed turf if you're from the southwest of England. Uh, Great little place, just a little village with 3 courses. One's common land with horses and cows all over it. That's where I first started. No bunkers, pretty exposed, not really a lot of trees, and public walking all over the golf course. And then the other course, so Mincham's new course, which is a private golf club. 2 golf courses, one's like an inland links and one's just your standard part. And I've been there since I was a little boy, really. Yeah, so that's where I'd sort of play in practice of the 2, 3 minutes from it. Um, all the members have known me since again I've been a little kid, so there's quite a nice atmosphere up there now, which is good.
And did you know quite early on that you were good? Because obviously golf's got quite a steep learning curve. Was it after a few years of playing other sports you realized golf was the one you could pursue, or when was the turning point, you think?
I think when I first started playing golf, I think you'd all probably agree with this. And says when you first start playing golf as a kid, you don't really think, "Oh, I'm really good at this." You play it because you enjoy it, and I was absolutely hooked on golf. Might not have been, I mean, and my dad will tell me I'm great. I was great as a little kid, but he's probably biased. But I wouldn't have said I was brilliant or anything when I was 7 or 8. I don't think anyone could tell you you're brilliant, but what I did have was probably like a minor addiction to playing golf. I mean, regardless of whether I was feeling anything, I'd just be there playing golf all the time. And then that kept going alongside other sports in school, obviously. And then I think I was 10, I got picked to play for the county. And I went,
Hmm.
oh, that's pretty cool. And started playing and then still kept some other sports going, like sort of rugby at school. And then I hurt myself playing rugby and I went, I think I must have been 12 or 13. I went, I need to probably sort of be careful here in case I get myself hurt as everyone gets bigger. And then you're going to jeopardize, obviously, your county golf. And that probably led into me taking golf a lot more seriously when I was sort of 12 or 13.
Hmm.
And then from there, yeah, just worked up and up really, sort of through county ranks and so on.
And when you're like 12 or 13, what type of handicap were we talking at that stage to get into county level?
But for like 5, again, wasn't like unbelievable. I mean, you hear 12, 13-year-olds now that are shooting 6, 7 to par when they go play, which is, I mean, frightening. But like, I was, again, yeah, probably off 5, and then 14, I was off 2, 15, 16 off scratch, and then when I was 16 was a bit of a turning point in terms of my ability to golf. Because I always had ability, maybe a lot not the right direction in terms of how I practice and play, nor probably the right amount of self-belief in terms of I could actually be quite good. So when I was 16, it probably changed a bit.
And do you remember like getting from 5-2 and scratch what it was that you were getting? What was getting better? Were you hitting the ball further just naturally as you were getting older, or was there a skill level that you had to kind of overcome to get from 5 down to scratch?
A lot of it is probably natural in terms of obviously you play more golf, you get used to going, okay, the wind's off the left. On this hole, you play it at your golf course, right? I've got a tendency to do this, right? Try not to do that here. A lot of it's just more maturing in certain situations as you get a bit older. And then some of it is a case of so when I was younger, you could drop me the golf club at 9 o'clock, fill my range card up with tokens, and I'd be hitting balls until 8 o'clock at night. Like I would just be beating balls, which
Hmm.
is great and probably works in some cultures. But when I look at what it was doing with my golf, probably wasn't beneficial long term. And then changed it to being on the golf course a lot more, playing more competitive golf, and then my golf game dramatically improved,
What would you say, like you're,
like massively. Not necessarily doing anything not special,
yeah,
but
but you stay like up until 16, were you more into the golf because of you're trying to turn pro and be the best ever, or are you just more into it because you just love the game?
love the game to be honest. And then obviously started getting quite good at playing county golf, and then from 16 started getting what people would class as really good probably. And
Yeah,
then it sort of went, I mean, full focus really.
yeah.
And then your whole
Because
life
you,
revolves around it.
yeah, because you see nowadays people saying, oh, you need to be really good at 13, 14 if you want to have any chance. But that's just not the case, is
Yeah,
it? Like, yeah, yeah.
that's
You
rubbish
gotta,
strength now.
you gotta, you, yeah. The foundation is the love of the game,
Yeah.
and then you can build off of
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
Yeah, you see
Yeah, I mean,
nowadays, like it's scary, like kids on the range and stuff, um,
oh,
just being driven,
Mhm.
being driven into the grave before they ever like play a
yeah.
serious competition, you know?
I mean, I live in a quiet little village, and I'll go on the range and I'll see kids. I mean, absolutely hating their lives.
Yeah,
Dad shouting at them. They, I mean, they're 9 years old, and he goes, right, come on, let's work on a draw. And you're like, just let him go muck about the chipping green and
Yeah.
whack balls at his mates or try and chip him or do whatever. And just make sure he's there. And then as he gets older, he'll probably learn to practice properly.
yeah,
No 9-year-old is going to stand there all day and go, oh, right, I need to work on a low spinner here. That's
yeah,
just not going to happen.
It's so true.
yeah. Because if there's any, is there any way I describe you, Jack? It's just a guy who just loves the game, just
Come
loves
on.
it.
That's not how I'd
Yeah.
describe him.
Are we talking about golf? Ethan, cut that out. Edit.
I think no, it's true though because you see so many, and I think growing up as well, when I kind of got into golf at like 11, 12, and there was kids my age who were so much better, and their parents were pushing them really, really hard, and they actually didn't
Yeah.
really enjoy it anymore. And then it means long term they didn't really have the ambition to practice. Whereas if you just love the
Yeah.
game, then you want to practice regardless.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the winter, I mean, Rob, you might be different where, I mean, you live in obviously in Switzerland because your winters are pretty much like a no-go for golf, aren't they? But like
Yeah,
in the UK, if you look at the winter and watch the boys that are out practicing and some of the weather you get, especially up where you guys are in Edinburgh as well, you think, what are you doing? That must be awful. But then it's like some people get a real kick out of doing that. It's quite sick, really. But that is sort of how a lot of golfers work. They get a real kick out of pushing themselves to the absolute limit of being miserable
Yeah.
while making a
yeah.
tiny gain every day,
I do that in the
whether
summer, to
it's
be fair.
in 30
But
degrees or 2 degrees.
but
Yeah,
rather be sick at like 20, 21 than being completely sick at 13 or 14. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
absolutely, Rob.
Yeah.
When you got this when you were 16 and you said that was a bit of a turning point, um, what do you mean by that? Do you mean like you're golfing up another level in competitive tournaments? You just got better? What do you
Yeah.
mean by turning point as such?
So my coach at the time was an ex-European tour player, and he was very big on you need to play more, you need to get used to playing with a card in your hand a lot more, rather than just going and playing like I know like your county men's events at the time. They were 8 a year, and then the odd Junior Open and stuff. And I was just like, or like one sort of national junior major, you play like a McGregor or Reed Trophy. He said you can't be sustainable in terms of your improvement if you just putting everything on one event, and then that's your only experience with a card in your hand on the golf course and so on. So he said, play more, play more with the card in your hand, have more jeopardy when you play. And I just threw myself in the deep end. I must have played 3, 4 medals or Stableford's a week for like 6 months. And
Hmm.
some in, I mean, it was like, I mean, it is when you're 16, 17, you look at the forecast, you're like, oh, God, there's a medal on Saturday. Jesus, it's 40-mile-an-hour winds and hammering it down. I could I missed. I just went, regardless, I am playing. And
Yeah.
probably gave you a bit of a, I mean, sometimes awful, but then it got you in a habit of grinning and bearing whatever was sort of put in front of you when you go play. And I started to make less golf course errors just through being exposed to the same situations again, where previously I'd not been privy to making the right decision. I then started to go, actually, I'm pretty sick
Yeah. And do you
of
think that's
getting
what
out
a
of bounds
lot,
here. I'm pretty sick of going for a miracle shot at the trees that just went. It's not worth it.
do you think that's what a lot of maybe kids that age now go wrong, where they're focused on their swing and focus on, um, yeah, not the competitive stuff? Is that kind of why that was mainly a turning point? You'd had other people maybe similar ability to you, but didn't really kick on at that stage?
Yeah, probably lots of boys. Like, there's a boy at my golf club called Oscar Sharp who won the McGregor and the Reed Trophy in the same year and was dubbed the next Tiger Woods and went to go see David Ledbetter. But he was real natural, unbelievable short game. 13, 14, 15. Went to go see Ledbetter to gain some distance, and his game went completely upside down. Just couldn't keep on the planet,
Mhm.
and he got lost in golf swing rather than he's really good at playing golf, and
Hmm.
he's naturally going to hit it further as he gets older. I think people lose sight of that. People lose sight of the fact that obviously golf played on a golf course rather than, oh God, I've got a miss here. I need to perfect that in your golf swing. In the grand scheme of things, you probably play 2 events a year where you feel comfortable with your golf swing, and the rest of it you're trying to manage and put sort of plasters on different areas of your game, try and get it around. You have to get used to playing when you're not playing great and not swinging how you want, in my opinion anyway.
Agreed.
Hmm. Yeah. And so from 16 to 18, I suppose then, was this when you started winning bigger events? And what was that kind of, what did that
Yeah.
trajectory look like?
So after I had that conversation with my coach at the time, it got a lot more structured in terms of obviously playing my medals and Stableford, but then I had a real schedule of these are my events that I'm playing in based off the handicap I was at the time. I think I was plus point something, but not quite plus one when I first started playing all the like a full season of junior sort of national international golf. I said these are my events, these are my focus points, these are the events I'm going to play leading up, and so on, so on, and then basically started shooting better scores locally, finishing higher up locally, and then making cuts more consistently, as well as I started my year. I think it's the McAvoy Trophy. Kent and Jordan probably remember this in terms of first real event of the year in the UK
Hmm.
or England anyway. Everyone goes to Cop Teeth players, and that's like your starting point. It goes to Fairhaven and whatever. And I think that came like 21st, played okay, and thought actually I'm actually sort of a bit better than I sort of give myself credit for last year. And then played Fairhaven, came like 18th or something, I think. And then went and played my county championships, as my men's county championships at 16, came second, and then got picked my men's county first team on like the 6-man team, which was I think I was one of the youngest ever to get picked for that, if not the youngest. And then a couple of weeks later, I came second at the Henry Cooper, so it sort of kick-started
Hmm.
a
Mhm.
few better performances in terms of sort of like little tick boxes in terms of okay, make a cut, I've done this. Okay, make another cut and finish a bit higher up. Okay, then sort of come close to winning the men's event, which is sort of your big one, sort of county wise. Okay, I'm actually getting a bit better here. And you
Yeah.
start to believe in yourself a bit.
Yeah. And then your career really took off when you met us when you were 18 years old. Um, and you
Yeah,
came
you
to,
particularly even to be honest, but
yeah, I just remember the first time me and Cope met, we were sitting in business, like a business class the first week, and then don't know how we ended up talking about golf, and then it was like, do you know Reese Black? And I was like, yeah, and then it just all started from there. So,
what an awful competition start that is.
so yeah, you came to Stirling for a couple of years, played scholarship, played good golf for a couple of years, and then you suppose left uni, and it was in 2020 you had your first big win.
Yeah, I think obviously came to uni off the back of playing sort of England boys golf, finishing high up, nearly winning a few things as a boy, like the Irish boys and the Caris, and sort of got very close to winning, but not quite winning. Then went to uni, exposed to men's golf, which is very different to boys golf. Obviously, courses are longer. You've got guys that are 5, 6 years older than you in some cases that are then competing against you, and a few of them act and perform like guys that are on tour. So that's a bit of a shock when you're 17, 18, and you go, right, I'm now sort of jumping the deep end here. And there's times you think, oh, I'm not good enough, and there's times you find your feet a bit. I think that first year playing men's golf, I probably overachieved, I'd
Hmm.
say, in terms of what I thought I was personally capable of. In terms of, I think I was a good golfer, but I mean, I barely finished outside the top 10 and nearly won the Brabazon. And if I didn't putt like sort of Stevie Wonder might have putt the last 3 holes, I might have won the Brabazon. But that probably gave me like a kickstart to go, actually, I'm I'm pretty good here, and I probably didn't even clock into it that I was actually doing things that I probably shouldn't have been doing at 18 in terms of sort of nearly winning those big events and so on until certain people in my county and England and so on start speaking to you. So
Hmm.
that was probably a bit of yeah, a bit of a confidence boost in 2018 for sure. And obviously got my first in the men's cup then, and um, yeah, and then unfortunately injury hit in 2019, which sort of put that on a pause, and then I sort of resumed again in 2020.
So yeah, 2019 you were out basically the full season. And well, we're going at the end of this, we're going to talk a bit
Yeah,
about injury because obviously recently as well, you've been unfortunately hit with another injury, and Rob's been nursing an injury as well. So,
I'm
um,
built like glass right now. Yeah,
yeah. So 2019 was a bit of a write-off, and then 2020, you
yeah.
bounced back strong, obviously. So before you got into the English, like one English amateur, what did the season look like up until that? Was it a bit of a surprise? Were you in good form? How did that kind of pan out?
So I probably have to do touch. Sorry to ruin your podcast even, but I probably do have to touch on my injury while talking about that in terms of I broke my arm in 2019
Yeah.
and had to have plates put in, and it was a compound fracture. At the time, I didn't think I'd play golf ever again. It was that bad a break. Then was told in April, right, 6 to 12 months. It's your recovery time, 6 months, best case. And I just went, right, okay, your season's over. And that was a light bulb moment for me. Like that forced me to drop out of uni and go, I'm too good at golf to be sort of mucking around and effectively wasting my time, which I was. And got straight into rehab, which was horrific because I had to learn how to mobilize the right wrist again, which was agony. And then you're watching guys that you're playing with and competing, doing well, and getting picked for teams you want to play and doing well events you want to play. And it's pretty tough to say. Like Rob's probably had a bit of it, obviously getting his challenge tour card, and then you go right, okay, your shoulders having some yip, and you have to sit at the side watching it, and you're thinking, oh god. And then whether you want it or not, people will go, oh, did you see so and so? And you're in the head going, yeah, I've seen it. Don't want to know about it, but I've seen it. Which is just, I think, how a lot of golfers probably think,
Yeah.
quite selfishly. But then I just started seeing Russell Kobe as a golf coach because with that broken arm, started struggling a bit, sort of personally, someone I was quite close with. Uh, and I spoke to him about it, and he said, well, let's have a lesson, have a chat, and see what happens. So basically, I had to learn how to reuse my right wrist in my golf swing, which is pretty tough to be honest, especially if you start hitting balls off mats in the winter. And yeah, and then got stuck into lessons with him, and that winter, well, even the summer before, I think I was fit by July. I think I took 11 weeks to get back playing, which was pretty miraculous. But I was pretty dogged in my work ethic from the moment I was told that I'd be out for 6 to 12 months. And then that whole period from April 2019 to July, June 2020 was like probably a year of maturing a lot and going, right, I'm actually going to make the most of my ability here. And I would be honest and say that's probably the hardest I've ever worked at anything in my life for 15 months straight, which at times was great and at times was horrific. But that's
Yeah.
part of the journey that makes sort of golf as quite a sick breed.
Yeah.
Just you
Not
enjoy
not
that, I think.
not to get too dramatic, but was the and this is, was not obviously breaking your arm's never a good thing, but that did that kind of give you the fire to bounce back, or do you think you would have done that regardless and worked that hard after you left uni and um yeah, you said taking it more seriously after that?
I'll be honest here and say that me breaking my arm was the best thing that ever happened in my golf career. And I wouldn't say that lightly. I'd be dead honest with that. If I hadn't broke my arm, obviously hindsight's great, but I wouldn't know what I'd be doing.
Hmm.
The fact I broke my arm was a shock moment of, my God, you are either gonna waste what you're doing, or you're gonna make the most of the ability you've got and keep kicking on. And fortunately, there was a big speed bump outside Juniper Court, which I didn't see walking back after a couple of pints, and I tripped over and fell in it, and that was, yeah, fate, I say.
I was waiting for you to mention it.
Yeah, so was I.
Ethan and Kemp are just thinking about ways to break their arm now.
I know. I was
Yeah.
going to say my
Yeah.
right wrist, my issue. I could do it.
Yeah.
I could
Yeah.
do it relearning that.
Yeah, it's the right wrist I'm worried about.
I know. Mine doesn't work.
God, God.
Oh, shit.
But
I think like when you think about injuries and people are always talking about, oh, how is it difficult and stuff. They're great, and it just gives you a chance to completely reset and actually stop and
Yeah,
look at what you've been doing. And because when you're in the motion of things, when you're in the routine of life, you really, it's hard to see all the bad habits you pick up on.
yeah, absolutely.
And once you get that injury, it gives you the power of reflection and being like, wait, this wasn't good, and this is with anything in life. Like it's how important it is to
Yeah,
just have a moment to just stop and look and think, wait, am I like, is this what I'm doing right? Like, am I doing the right things? And same with the shoulder. Like I feel right now back in it, I feel like you've improved on so many things, so many bad habits that just kick in without without you realizing. And as you said, like it's the best thing that happened to you. And you got an injury now, I got one now, and we could turn this into a story that'll be the best thing again that happened. That happened, and next year be winning on
absolutely.
tour.
It's
good.
easy to play victim when you got an injury, but there's people all over the world way worse off than you, with way worse injuries, way worse personal circumstances, and you're worried because your back or shoulders hurt and you can't hit a pitch shot 50 yards. The grand scheme of things, you'd probably be all right.
Yeah, Rob, so suck it up.
Right, Ethan.
Ethan can't hit a 50-yard shot without his with his back not hurting.
So yeah, you've navigated all that, and you made a good point, Well, it probably makes sense actually. We'll just combine the injury and other stuff together because yeah, that obviously was a turning point for you in the grand scheme of the story, and then going on to then eventually win the English Amateur, which of course is a huge event. So tell us a bit about
So it was during the COVID year. I'm sure you'll remember was it from March to May? It was like complete lockdown,
that. Yeah.
and nobody could play golf. Everyone was tearing up the walls. If you had a garden outside, it was, I mean, brilliant because the weather was good. But if you were a golfer, you were like pulling your hair out thinking it is 25 to 30 degrees every day with little to no wind, and I can go play golf. So I actually spoke to Chris Wood, the ex-Ryder Cup player,
Hmm.
played on the tour for X
Familiar.
amount of years, and I spoke to him. Yeah, so he's from my county, Chris, and I spoke to him and asked for some advice in terms of what to do, and he said you live next to a common, and what's the worst that's going to happen? He said you have to find like an alternative or a way around your circumstance. He said obviously I'm privileged that I can I've got a trap man or whatever. You don't have that, but you have to find a way around it. So I remember practicing on that common land, which Kemp will know is just up the road from my house, hitting balls, getting people. I mean, I must have been getting up at 6:30 in the morning till 8:30, 9:30, just every morning as a routine. It's not loads, but enough to keep you ticking and do some work. And I had people shouting at me, taking photos, postman reporting me to the police, saying I'm out here as a risk. I had people stand in the way of me and refuse to let me practice. Well, as you can all probably imagine, I just kept hitting balls anyway. Took no notice, or may have said a few choice words back, which might have been out of character. But I found a solution to my my personal circumstance in terms of I had common land, and I stuck in a routine of practicing, thinking when this lockdown's going to be over, there'll be lots of guys that'll be going, "Oh, I can't do anything," and there'll be 3 months behind the curve. Whereas I'll have three half decent months or 2.5 months, whatever it was, of work, practice, routine of I'm going to get myself ready to compete again, which in a way worked probably as a big advantage to me. I'm leading up to that because then you only
Hmm.
had, I think there were only like 2, 3 events to play before I'm the English Am, or 3 events. And I came out and didn't feel like I played great, but was doing well. And I went, Jesus, I am so much sharper than I realized compared to where I thought I'd be right now. And I do put a lot down to probably lockdown and what I was doing during lockdown.
But that comes down to like that's just the love of the game. You know, the love of the game makes
Yeah,
you like it just you don't need to be in perfect situations, perfect circumstances. Like it's just that's the difference between guys
no,
who are doing the extra bits. Like you just love it. I remember with my brother going out to a farm, someone's farm, and hitting balls up this on like this salad
yeah,
turf,
yeah.
and your man, your farmer, came up with the tractor, came out with a gun and nearly shot us. You know, but yeah, but you gotta love the game so
Imagine that.
much.
Yeah, you have to risk your life for the game.
Yeah,
Quote from
I
Rob
mean,
this week.
I, I practiced on that common land. I practiced on a local cricket pavilion that had like an astroturf sort of bowling net. Was hitting wedges off there, irons off there. Went to a friend of my dad's who has his farm, and he actually cut a bit of grass down and put a flag in, and just did pitching and ladder drills, and I mean awful turf. Like just if you hit it there on a golf course, you'd say you're nearly out of bounds or in the cag. And I was there hitting wedges, going, "This is brilliant. I'm getting better here." Whereas like it was like having a mindset of, yeah, like Rob saying, you love the game, but you loving being stuck in a process of getting better while probably other people are just sitting on the laurels during lockdown. And so yeah, I personally think lockdown was great at the time. Obviously looking back, not brilliant, but
Yeah.
I
So
think my
you,
golf probably worked a treat, to be honest.
so relatively, obviously, you were improving anyway, but you were went into those events a lot sharper than the field. Obviously, at that level, you're playing English Am. Everybody can hit a ball, everybody can chip and putt, but the sharpness, I think, I mean, at all levels, really, it comes into on a normal year, March, April, and you don't feel sharp as a club golfer, but never mind at that level
Yeah,
where every little detail makes a difference. So obviously that hard work paid off. And then English Jam, you've got stroke
yeah,
play
definitely.
qualifying first.
Yeah, I finished second in the stroke play qualifying. And I actually went up with my dad beforehand, and it was at Woodall Spa the year I won. Just the home of England golf, which was on like some anniversary, I think, of I can't remember, but I mean, nonetheless, I played the Bracken course first, which is the sort of lesser of the two courses at Woodall. And I remember driving the golf course with my dad because I mean, nervous as hell, feeling awful, and I played 3 events previously. One was like a 4 ball event the week before, um, where I'd come second at, and then I played the Tillman Trophy I come eighth at, and then I played a Jamaica Tour event I came third at, and then I lost out in this 4 ball event, and I said to my mum before I went, "Oh, look, never mind, Jack." And I said, "It's fine. I'll win English Am next week, mum." And people might think, "Oh God, what a dick," but that's like probably the
You think that
mindset.
anyway?
Probably,
Yeah, we don't say it because
yeah.
of that.
Thanks, mate. But
Apologies to
then
our
I
younger
I remember
viewers.
driving, but I remember driving the course that morning. Yeah, feeling nervous, feeling pretty teary to be honest. My dad in the car, and he'd come up with me for the week because he obviously not seen me play golf sort of for ages because I'd been injured the year before, and he sort of gave me a few sort of comforting words, and then I went out and it's blowing a gale, shot 3 under par, played really nicely. Um, Thought, oh, that's okay, yeah, brilliant. Didn't think loads of it, but in myself, I went, okay, sort of nice way to start the event. Next day went out and played the Hotskin, and I think made something like 7 birdies on my front nine, or 6 birdies on my front nine, but was like 1 under. Just kept going birdie bogey, but it was like bipolar golf, and then eventually got it round and shot 6 under. Sorry, I'm 3 under, so it was 6 under total. And I was actually leading the stroke play for a bit before a friend of mine, Joe Long, came in and beat me. So I actually finished second the stroke play. I thought, oh, nice, that's good. And my dad said to me, like, oh, that's a good result. And I said something like to him after the show. I said, well, that's only the start of the event, Dad. And then it sort of went on from there, really. I was, yeah, pretty determined that week, to say the least.
So then you went into the match play. How many people qualify for the match play?
64 and ties, or might have been straight 64 with card count back because of COVID, maybe. For I don't know, something like that.
Yeah.
So I actually in the first round, actually quite funny. One of the most extraordinary things I've probably ever seen in a golf course happen. I played a friend of mine from the county called Harris Knightwood, good golfer. Known him since I was probably 10, 11. I played county golf up the age groups with him, and I was playing all right. I was 3 under, maybe 4 under, and 3 up with 5 to play, which you think pretty comfortable, but obviously still have to see it out. And then he birdied uh 14 to get back to two. I then hit to 8 foot on 15. He then holed out for eagle, so he's back to one. 16, I've hit middle of the fairway. He did it just behind me. He's then holed out again, and I went, "You are taking the Michael." And I then holed out from 100 yards straight after him to half the hole and stay one up, and then
No way.
and then parred
No way.
17, and then yeah, and then 18. Probably hit as good a driving 4 iron on the last par five I did it all week to like 20 foot, and then sort of two putted, and that was that. So yeah, my first round was a bit eventful,
Mhm.
and then I remember playing on the second round, not playing well and winning, and then the matches got a little more interesting as the week went on. I started playing a few friends and a few more, I guess, in the most respectful way, some sort of more well-known names and more respected golfers at amateur level, and it sort of kicked on really.
So then you got to the final and you're playing Callan Barrow, I think, in the final.
Yeah, yeah. I obviously mates with Cal before that, and in a way, it's probably nice that you are playing a mate, but at the same time, I don't know if you guys agree, you'd probably rather hate the guy you're playing rather than really. There's nothing worse than playing to a match player that you think he's lovely.
Yeah.
It is really, really difficult. You have to like. It sounds quite sort of sadistic of me, but I try and find someone I really don't like about the person I'm playing, and I focus on that and go, I really want to beat him for that reason.
That's
So
what.
for you, Ethan, it
That's
was
why I
easy
find it's
playing you.
always quite easy. I was gonna say the same thing.
Boys must have found it so easy to play against you.
That's why you didn't get given 1 foot
Yeah,
putts and stuff. Yeah.
I remember. So they had Ian, is it Ian McFarlane? I think was doing the England golf media at the time, and I remember for a time thinking, oh god, it's pretty cringe. But he interviewed me after semi-final. I beat a friend of mine, Barkley Brown. I think it was like 7 under par for 7 holes, played really good. Beat him 2-1, and he interviewed me, and he said something like, "How special is it that you're in the final of the English Am? Are you going to go out and enjoy it tomorrow?" And I think my reply was, "Yeah, brilliant, but I'm here to win, as simple as that." And that was literally the end of the interview. And part of me loves that, and then part of me's like, "Oh, what a dick."
I know what part I'm thinking. But then you went, so you went on to play,
Yeah,
you played Cal. I remember, because 36 hole final, wasn't it? Is that right? So
yeah,
I remember following it at the time. We were away fishing actually. Don't know why I remember this, but we were fishing and you were after 18. I remember seeing the report and it was like per Callan is like 4 down. He's like 3 under par for 18 holes or something. You were like 6, 7 under the first 18 holes.
yeah. That would have been probably one of the best rounds I've played now with golf, really. In terms of, I think I was 7 under, didn't make a bogey, and I must have gained 3 strokes on the green. Played lovely. It was actually a bit weird in that final in terms of it was obviously during COVID, so you weren't allowed any spectators. So normally you have a few people around the final of an English Am or a British Am or whatever, but there was nobody there apart from my mum, my dad, a couple of people from the county that had come up, and then yeah, me and Cal went. And there was this one guy that actually I remember it. He was a member and he appeared out with like one of those little fold up seats, and it was sort of time the social distancing was pretty hot, and he would come and sit directly behind you, 6 feet away from you every time you did a shot the first rolls. And me and Cal went to the referee, is there any chance this guy could go home? What's he doing here? Why is he doing this? And then after he went, I started a whole a few putts really. So but yeah, that morning was yeah, pretty good, and then had lunch with my family. Well, I say unfortunately, people seem to get carried away, like they see 5 up and go, "Oh God, it's done now." And you're like, you just that's not how sport or golf works. So I was pretty trying to keep myself to myself at lunch. Didn't sit with Cal. I mean, no offense to Cal, he's a mate, but yeah, obviously didn't want to sit with him. Um, and went back out, and Cal played lovely the afternoon. I think he shot 4 under. Didn't really miss many shots. And I remember it was a bit back and forth at one point. I mean, you're close to achieving something you'd set your goals, set your eyes on at the start of the year. You think this would be a bit of a breakthrough. And you start sparring in your head going, God, if I do this, that means this. I'm so close to, oh God, Biggie's won it. And you're thinking, I had to really slow myself down. And which sort of round holes 7, 8, 9, 10, I was probably struggling with the occasion a bit and struggling with, I was on the brink of obviously achieving something pretty special, especially considering everything I guess I'd been through beforehand. And funny enough, even those breathing techniques you talked about, I did something similar on, I think, maybe the 12th tee, and probably one of the best iron shots of it all week. And hold a brilliant putt and let out a massive fist pump and went, right, okay, I'm going to go win now. Half an next hole, lost the 14th. And then I ended up having like an 8 footer to win. And it was one of those, it was when you had the flags in during COVID, which I
Mhm.
hated,
Yeah.
especially from inside 10 feet. So I'm there going, oh God, the awful of a hole this, and it hits the flag and comes out, holds on the edge, and I hit the flag, knock it in the wind. And I went, right, Jazz, stop doing that. That's pretty horrific. And sort of refocused myself. Funny enough, I looked in my periphery at the sideline, saw my golf coach, my parents, people from the county that had seen me play golf as a junior, see me struggle golfing wise, struggle personally. And I'm thinking, I can't wait to hold this putt and go and sort of, I guess, celebrate with them. I actually probably hit the purest putt all week, dead center from 8 foot. And then, yeah, that was that really.
Did you give it a big fist
Pretty
pump?
special feeling.
What was the celebration? Top off.
Pretty big fist bump. I'm pretty good at them. Although I like to think sort of relaxed and I like a laugh off the golf course. I'm very intense on it.
Yeah.
So it does come out when you obviously win or don't win. So yeah, it goes both
It
ways.
it's funny how you say that about like the negative thoughts you had while you're like
Yeah,
3 up, 4 up, 5 up, you know.
yeah.
People think that guys who are winning are just like locked in
Hmm.
and they're
Oh,
flowing and they're not thinking the worst. Like I know sometimes when you're like even leading an event and you're like, just please don't hook this out of bounds, you know. Like this is just
oh,
completely normal
it's
to have
awful.
some of the
You,
worst negative thoughts you can imagine. But it's then the ability to deal with that and then still go in and hit the purest putt. That's what separates
yeah,
like guys who go on winning. Like I remember when Tiger made his comeback and won the FedEx Cup final at East Lake, and he had that bunker shot. He hit it in two in the bunker, and he had like he could have made double
yeah.
to win, I think, or bogey or double to win. And he said in an interview the only thing he was thinking in that bunker shot was just don't thin it, Tiger. Like even the best player
That's
ever
the
is
best
also
golfer ever.
thinking, yeah, is also thinking just don't make a fool of yourself. Like those are just it's just human. And then it's
Yeah.
just how you, and then you
think-
obviously are someone who like clearly, the guys that can deal with that are the guys who come out on top, like you did at the English Am.
Thanks,
Definitely.
Rob.
Well, we're going to skip on because we want to
I
get
think,
into your pro stuff as well. But obviously that was a big moment for you. Like that's the biggest at that point was the biggest amateur win. And then next year, St Andrews Links Trophy, you
yeah,
you picked up another one.
yeah, that was better in my opinion. Yeah,
Was that just
that
because
was
Scott
better
was
for
caddying?
a number of reasons. Yeah, yeah, could be. But probably going back to what Rob said there in terms of handling your emotions and all those thoughts and stuff in that moment. Obviously, winning the English Am was great, and that helped. That moment helped me probably deal with some tougher circumstances or more intense circumstances the following year. I think if I hadn't had that experience at the English Am, I wouldn't have been able to deal with the experience at St Andrews Links. So I mean, ended up yeah winning that, but that was in a three-man playoff, which was a bit more intense.
And who was in the playoff? Was it you, George Burns, and
And Robin Williams, not the actor, the golfer.
okay, we lost Coop's audio for a second, so we're going to go back to, and he was telling a good story. So we're going to go back to you're playing St Andrews Links. You got to the playoff stage, and then what happens in the playoff?
So I was playing a boy called George Burns, Scottish international, and Robin, Tiger Williams plays in the DP on the tour now. Um, Robin was in the England team at the time, and sort of someone I sort of played a lot of boys golf with and stuff as well. George again, I play with at uni, so we can both sort of fairly well. But the playoff was, I remember, funny enough, that on the, I guess how the day start was that I started great. I think I shot something like 3 under round two to move up a little bit, and then uh, started off in the third round into a foot missing the hole, which yeah wasn't great. And then starting off a few putts, thinking, all right, I put a nice round together. And then on the 17th fairway, Scott McPhee said to me, he said, "Oh, I was going to see what the leaderboard is because obviously that pin on 17 at the old course is
Mhm.
horrific with the road bunker." And I don't know. I mean, sort of Rob Jordan, actually, even Kevin, he all played the old course. Um, I mean, there's a conservatory behind the 17th, and Scott was originally saying, "Oh, just aim at that." It's like 40 foot right the hole. Probably the least ballsy play you could play, but Scott McPhee is the man of strict no nonsense as a caddy. And he checked the leaderboard and he went, "Cope, you're one off the lead right now." And I went, "Oh, well, that changes things." He said, "No." I said, "I'm going to go right at the flag, Scott." And he went, "Well," he basically tried to talk me out of it. I said, "Scott, it's not happening. I'm going right at the flag." Hits a 7 foot. Ended up missing it, but then that probably flicked a switch in my head to go, I'm going to either win the golf tournament or put my position or put myself in a position to win it. 18 at the time, it wasn't in to win, so you could probably drive it with how it was like, and I mean not firm, but like it wasn't soft. I hit it to 35 foot straight at the flag. I said every day I said I'm going to aim at the clock tower behind the first tee, cut it back on the flag, which was my sort of shot shape of choice at the time. Absolutely nailed it, to be honest, in terms of how to execute a golf shot in terms of what I set out to do. Hit the 30, 35 foot, actually dead weight lipped out for eagle, which I think someone had a video of me, my head, and my hands, and my hat falling off, and Scott on the side doing the same thing, which no one seems to be able to find, but I know it was out there. And then I had to wait around for probably an hour and a half to think, yeah, about that. See, I was in the playoff. I had a few stupid comments from people's dads going, I don't know, like after it was confirmed that one person made the playoff, he goes, "Oh well, I mean, don't mess it up." And Scott just said, as you can imagine, Scott basically on the F off near enough. He said, "Come on, Joe, get over it." And took me, Scott was actually brilliant. Then he took me to one side of the putting green and was talking some sense into me, which
Are you
if you
sure
know
it's the
Scott, you
same
can laugh
Scott?
at. Yeah, I know. If you know Scott, you can laugh at. But in that moment, he was fantastic. And then found out it was going to be Robin in the playoff as well. He held a brilliant part in the last to get in the the playoff, and then it was sort of confirmed. They said, right, you've got half an hour, so I went hit 20 balls, loosened up. Scott was keeping me away from everyone, making sure no, because there's nothing worse when you want to be in your own bubble in a big moment, and people are trying to get their 2 pence in, and you don't want it. And then I ran my golf coach, basically said sort of best of luck, and then that was it. Off he went, 3-man playoff. And what's nice at the old course, obviously, is you've got the streets right there, and people walk along, and people could see other players that weren't the playoff would sort of congregate and watching. So you had like a mini crowd, not like a big crowd, but like probably ended up being a couple hundred people, so maybe 100 people at the end, and people off the street then started folding in and watching. It, I remember hitting 2 great shots on one. Robin hit good tee shot, hit an awful approach about 60 foot. I went to about 12 foot. George Burns hit it in the burn, ironically. So he was out, and then Robin 2-putted. I missed 18. Robin put it on the green. I said, right, Scott, I'm going to fade it off that clock tower onto the flag, which was like middle left, just as the valley is in. Fade off the clock tower, bang on it to about 20 foot. But first 2-putted. The first again, I hit 6 foot, missed. Robin hit the 20 foot, missed. And then on the 4th and final playoff hole, I was dying for a week because Scott had been giving me so much water to drink during the playoff to try and sort of keep me sane and sort of keep present. I was dying for a wee. I said to the referee, I said, I don't want to be sort of that guy, but I'm dying for a wee here. And no one really go to the toilet sort of by the 18th tee at the old course. Can I just go on that wall behind the road hole? And he went, yeah, that's fine. So I didn't actually watch Robin's tee shot at all on 18. I was having a wee against the wall behind the road hole.
Which,
Oh,
for anybody who's
so
not
like,
been there, it's
some
one of the
people
most exposed paths probably on
Yeah.
any golf course.
And
there must have been a few Chinese tourists around there thinking,
And a few
what
dog
is going
walkers,
on?
a few
Zoom.
oh,
Is that what people do in
and,
Scotland? This is
so I was having my wee, and I turned around, and Scott, being Scott, has got a 3-iron out on the last hole of the old course. And he goes, look, and we think Robin's out of bounds. And in my head, I'm thinking, well, is he out of bounds or is he not? And he said, well, we're not sure, but we think he's out of bounds. So I can just hit an iron. I said, why? In my head, I'm thinking, why is he giving me something with a hosel? Not a chance. And I said, Scott, not a chance, pass the driver. And he said, really? I said, I'm going to fade off the clock tower. And I hit it, fade off the clock tower about 15 feet. And we were walking up the last hole, and I was eating something. And I like a flat chat. I said, Scott, do you want something to eat? He went, I'm far too fucking pumped up to eat right now. I just burst out laughing.
It's more nervous than you.
Yeah, he was a massive part of that day in terms of he kept me really present and really calm just at the right moments.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, I'm not the easiest guy to caddy for, so I mean that's pretty good. And I owe a lot to Scott that day for caddying because he was fantastic. And I remember tapping in the wind because Robin eventually wasn't out of bounds, as Scott said. So a good thing I didn't hit the 3-iron, and then put it on the green. And he actually held like a 10-foot putt for a par, and I had a 2-footer on greens. It was probably like 10 to 9 at night at the old course. Greens are getting a little charred up, and I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, do not just hit this permanent straight. And you're thinking, when you ever think about that over a 1.5 2 foot putt? And I'm there going, just make sure you hold this chat. Probably the longest I've ever taken over a 2-foot in my life. And hold it and shook Robin's hand, obviously. And yeah, there's a video of me and Scott hugging at the end of the 18th at the golf course, which is pretty cool. And yeah, it probably didn't really set in until I wrote my parents because they didn't actually have any update of what was going on. They just saw that was the playoff. And I rang my dad. Stupidly thought that the playoff wasn't going ahead. He thought that it was on countback or something for some reason because my name was at the top in alphabetical order or something because George had been knocked out. And he started drinking celebrating already. So he was half cut before I rang thinking I'd won, and then I had to stop realizing that I probably hadn't. And then rang my parents, and I was crying on the 18th green, knelt down, and my mum went, "Oh God, oh oh, don't worry, Jack." I said, "No, mum, I've won." And I just had to have my phone here like that, and I just went, "Oh!" Both of them screaming down the phone at me in my ear. I went, "Wow, that's pretty cool to have that moment on the 18th at the old course, and get your photo on the Swilcan Bridge and on the 18th green, and yeah, and did it with one of your best mates at the time, so that was pretty cool. So that's something that me and Scott will probably have forever as well as myself. It's pretty nice.
Well, I might have to update the thumbnail now for the video, because not only are we doing a
Yeah,
part one and part two because we've got so much to speak about, but also I thought you were winding me up about how much of a role that Scott played in that day, but now to be
no,
fair to him, he was like, "Oh, you have to
he
get a
was
picture
brilliant.
of me and Scott," and I was like, "Ah, yeah, he's winding me up here," but actually, he was fair play to Scott. He was a big part of that, so I have to get him into the thumbnail.
Well done,
Yeah,
Scott.
massive.
Well, then, Scott. Well, that was brilliant. We had one wee audio glitch, but apart from that, it went very well. And yep, thanks very much, Jack, for coming on.
We'll
Pleasure.
see him in part two.
Yeah,
Thanks
Part
for
two.
having me.
and in part two, we're going to talk about your pro golf and I suppose your most recent injury as well, and how you're coming back from that. So we've got plenty to cover, and knowing us five boys now, we'll probably have to cut it short again because we just keep going on and on. It's great. But yeah, is there
Brilliant.
anything our millions of followers can follow you on, Jack?
Uh, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch. You're gonna watch me play Call of Duty, but probably not for everyone out there. No, that's yeah, just on normal social media handles.
And
Nothing extravagant.
you've got your website as well, Jack Cope.
Yeah,
Is it jackcopegolf.com or something like that?
there's a few websites out there, but yeah, the golf one
You can let us
is
know what
the
the
one that's
official one is.
I'll leave those anonymously in the comments.
Right, okay. Great. Thanks very much, Jack. And we'll see you all in the next one.
Yeah.